Radio Generation. My name is Mongala Movie, and I'm joined by CT. But most importantly, our guest today is the Iron Lady. I don't know if she calls herself the Iron Lady,
or whether she even likes that term.
We'll find out in a short while. I am talking about the People's Liberation Party leader, Martha Karua. Mheshimiwa, welcome to Radio Generation. It's such an honor and a pleasure to have you here with us today.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me. And may I appreciate your very warm studio.
Yes.
You seem to know a thing or two about colors. Purple is the color of hope.
Is it?
And
now?
That is the color of the People's Liberation Party.
Oh.
So you
didn't know?
You have joined without joining.
Yeah.
Yes. Karibuni.
Yeah, and thank you so much for appreciating the studio. And like I said, it's an honor. I actually met you a while back. I'm certain you najua urizi kumbuka ilikuanga kitambo sana tukachukua selfie. I have treasured that selfie to date because it says a lot about the kind of person that you are. And we'll talk about that, a part of that today and much more. We also want to understand your ambitions for this country because we know some of them, but I'm sure over time probably they have evolved to something bigger and better. Am I correct in that regard?
You are very correct. I'm dreaming of leading Kenya's transformation as the chief executive officer of this corporation called Kenya.
Yes.
So yes, I'm vying for presidency, and my desire is to see a transformed Kenya, to see an economy that works for everybody, not just a few. We don't want to be told the economy is growing, but it's in the pockets of a few when the rest are suffering. We want to see a business environment that favors small and big businesses alike. We want to see a tax regime that does not discriminate, giving foreign investors tax waivers, but oppressing the small local investor who cumulatively is the greatest investor, killing them with the burden of taxes. A tax regime that dishonors the working class, making it impossible for a person who is working to be able to cater for their family. Taxes are not supposed to be a punishment. It should never be punitive. It's a contribution to the services that you get. So tax less, broaden the tax base, and most of all, use the money optimally. Stop the leakages, prioritize the needs of the citizen, and cut wasteful spending. Do not overburden the people. I would like to see a nation that gives quality, universal health care from cradle to grave to every Kenyan in public facilities. I would like to see a Kenya where education from nursery
to university
in public facilities is free. And those who ask where would the money come from, I keep reminding them. Cuba, under blockade, health and education were free as they continue to be today. And that nation, reeling under the blockade, has had and still has the highest per capita of doctors in the world.
To a point where we're exporting them, importing them rather.
And the best health care. So it is possible. Kenya doesn't have a revenue problem. It's fiscal indiscipline, misapplying, outright theft, corruption, and name it. I would like to see a Kenya where we have food security, investing in agriculture, supporting our farmers to feed us. We have sufficient arable land and water to do that. I'd like to see a Kenya where, because the business environment is right and the tax regime is not punitive, we encourage and we support especially our SME sector, which has over 7.4 million units. A Kenya where the private sector, because of the business environment and the economic policies, grows and our youth get jobs, and those who are into innovation are supported. And I would like to see a secure Kenya where our rights are respected and our security is guaranteed. Not a Kenya where in broad daylight, goons attack people going home in the CBD, or where the government raises goons as their partners to stop the exercise of civil liberties.
I'll start with that last point of goons, insecurity within our own borders. And it has been an issue that has been a thorn in the flesh of every single Kenyan. In your opinion, what we've never seen this before in any of the presidencies that we have experienced in this country. Perhaps you can, from with your eyes, where is the problem? Is it because we have the people who are supposed to be taking, who have this authority are not exercising it as they should, or they have literally negated their duties, or they have been infiltrated and they do not have control of the country as
I think this is a William Ruto and his rogue regime issue. Is deliberate. They are creating insecurity, realizing that people are not with them.
Deliberately?
In my view.
Okay.
It is deliberate. How on earth would you allow forces from Jubaland to occupy parts of Mandera, causing havoc and committing atrocities on the citizens and chasing them away, forcing them to leave their homes? How would you allow that to happen for over a week and keep quiet? How would you invite RSF, therefore Kenya directly meddling and becoming partisan in the war in the Sudan? How would you do that? How would you employ goons? This is a country where those in leadership, the William Ruto regime, are deliberately causing and creating insecurity and partnering with militias. And I'm just wondering, how is it that Jubaland forces are occupying part of Mandera? Is it that they want it there to be insecurity and the residents to be unable to vote in Garissa? What is the problem? Is it telling us this is how even Nairobi is going to be, and that we shall not be able to even conduct our campaigns? We've seen sections of the police shooting at opposition leaders. It happened in Muranga the other day. We've seen goons attacking the motorcade of Rick J when he was returning home, when his supporters had gone for him, and the police are watching. So it's like goons have partnered with the regime.
CT and I were having that conversation in the morning, especially on the Jubaland issue, how the forces got to get in within our borders. And one thing that was mind-boggling in that conversation is how comes no one really is talking about this issue as they should. A few newspaper articles, yes, have actually spoken about it, but no one in Mandera who is of a significant voice, say teachers for example, are not raising their voices. The governor of the area, MPs, MCAs, like no one who is of leadership is actually saying something of significance.
After Rick G mentioned it in his televised interview last week, the governor came out a bit feebly and he talked of the problem. And yesterday I saw the senator, former Governor Ali Roba, also talk about it. I would not weigh in and say the residents are not talking about it. If you're under occupation, you would not want to draw attention to yourself. So it is the failure of the government. I've seen Murkomen denying. He should deny standing in Mandera and telling us there is nothing. It is a thing that William Ruto should address directly. The CS defense, Soipan, where is she? Or is she a cosmetic CS? She should be talking about it. This is a security issue. Where is the National Security Council? Does it exist? Its mandate is to ensure there is security internally and within our borders.
Mheshimiwa, the confusion that arises from this situation, characterized by the silence, what you call feeble pronouncements about it, raises very many questions. Jubaland is next to our border, right? I was telling my colleague here earlier on that the northeastern parts of this country have been known to have conflict for the longest time, and most of the conflicts were between clans. I said, when you look at the boundaries and the borders that we have,
Yeah.
those clans do not know boundaries.
Yeah.
Meaning, if there's a community that is in one part of East Africa as it is in Kenya, that boundary, we can draw the line, but they relate as though there is no boundary.
The relatives are across.
Exactly.
It's like Busia.
Yes.
It is like
Namanga.
Isebania.
Yes.
Namanga.
Yes.
Those are our brothers. So we are not talking about individuals crossing the border.
Yes.
And doing legitimate business or visiting each other. We are talking of armed forces from Jubaland doing their drill inside.
Remember, this matter started with the news that fishermen in Turkana had been killed.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay? A lot of hoo-ha, a lot of noise. My question is this, we have a barracks in that region. Once again, you hear nothing. This is military. When I say more questions are raised than there are answers, you have to ask, what is the quarrel that we have with Jubaland? I would say we don't actually have a quarrel with Jubaland.
It's actually supposed to not quarrel because Kenya has been accused by Somalia of supporting
Jubaland.
Jubaland.
Yes.
And there are sections in government who are known to be very close to the regime in Jubaland. And the original issue, even during the Kibaki regime, was that some people in Kenya were doing the charcoal trade in Jubaland. That was the problem, even with the militias
charcoal trade
from there.
and even the sugar trade that were used that as a conduit.
Yeah, so it is deliberate.
This comes in now with my discussion of clan.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Because of these cross-border relationships,
Yeah.
there are issues that emanate in Somalia.
And find us here.
They will cross our borders. They are not our issues.
Yes.
They'll cross the borders because of that community. And I was giving him the example of the Oromo who are actually Borana in Kenya.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Now, why is it that we don't have a problem in Busia? We don't have a problem in
Isebania.
Isebania. We don't have a problem in Namanga. We don't. And these are areas...
And there are no barracks.
Yes. And there are communities on both sides of this so-called boundary or fence.
Okay.
Even in the borders in the northern area,
Yes.
we did not always have a problem.
No, we did not.
The Meriles occasionally raid the Turkanas.
Yes.
We've also had the Karamoja and Pokot issues, but
Yes.
they're not permanent. It is up to each country within its borders to manage its internal security. But instead, Kenya has lowered the guard and allowed insecurity to be exported from outside.
You see, again, in my mind, questions are raised. To what end?
I said it could be short term. The by-election in Banisa just creating insecurity so that one term doesn't get access to, and the people do not get access to expressing themselves.
Right.
We've seen that Nairobi is being made ungovernable, generally to stop activity. Nairobi is an opposition zone.
Yes.
It's a one-term zone. So what do? They respond with insecurity. And actually the whole country, I believe that if the circumstances are right, the majority of Kenyans are one term. They are one term because they are feeling the pressure of the negative things happening in this regime.
Right.
And they would like change. That doesn't mean they have settled on how that change will look like. But people are feeling the pressure. The response, goonism and insecurity.
Do you remember in a time gone by when Kenya, it was said, was under threat from Uganda?
Yeah.
And that the president then, Idi Amin, wanted to extend the boundaries to what he considered the old boundaries to Nakuru and beyond even
Naivasha.
Yeah.
Yes, and people who are mobilized now. When you pause and ask yourself what was also happening at that particular time, and why, because the focus was shifted on these fellows wanting to raid Kenya and push, and I remember I was a young person then, but the question was not asked, so how are they going to do it?
See, they just cross over with
They
guns.
would just have crossed over with the army. But Kenya's attention, even a long time ago, when in Somalia, the a government minister talked of Greater Somalia that would extend to inside Kenya.
Yes.
Kenya's response was swift. Now we have an army of a neighboring state entering Kenya, and the regime appears very comfortable, and therefore we must be excused of speculating, including that the insecurity is deliberate. We empathize with our brothers and sisters in the north, because every citizen should be able to go about their business normally. And we are not talking about people visiting and crossing. We are talking of an army coming and pushing people out of their homes and preventing normal activity from going on. There are people who have fled.
If it were you, President, today, how would you have dealt with that situation?
To begin with, they would not have crossed. Because you must secure your borders. You see, by the time they group to enter, what are you doing? How is it that you do not know? You have intelligence services. You have everything. So there's no way. So you sort it before they enter. And then also, our policy must be clear, foreign policy. If we recognize Somalia, and we do,
right,
we must not interfere with their internal affairs. We must not interfere with the internal affairs of any of the nations, whether it is Sudan or whether it is Somalia. Let Somalia and Jubaland sort out their issues. We should actually be a facilitator, not an obstacle. But unfortunately, Kenya has kept, or has elements in government who have kept interests, unknown interests, business and otherwise, on Jubaland, and therefore causing bad relations with the state of Somalia. I don't think it's healthy.
Let me ask you a question about this government, and the question is, when did the rain start beating them? Because President William Ruto was elected by, popularly, and everyone.
I don't believe he was elected, but let's go on.
Yeah.
He took over.
By the way, Mbuvi, popularly means he won by a very huge margin. Kibaki was popularly elected.
First time.
Yes. The times when President Moi won, it wasn't popular. 35% is not popular.
33, actually, you are adding him.
A little generosity over time is important.
Yeah.
So I am simply saying he was elected.
Okay.
200,000 votes.
He was declared winner, not elected. Declared winner by Chebukati.
Right.
Yeah.
So at what point did the rain start beating this particular government? Because they took over the reins of power. What went wrong, and at what point?
I think the rain started beating Kenyans, not just the regime, when this regime took over power, because it became clear that they did not mean any of the things they said. They came on a popular program, and they have done everything to oppress the people. They are akin to the extractive colonial regime. They want to extract every drop of blood. And when they get the resources together, they are just wasting spending on them. They have actually repurposed the state to serve them, not the people of Kenya. Everything is to serve them. SHA is not for access to health. It's amassing money, sharing it up, while Kenyans languish without access. Our taxes, education is being defunded, while they increase spending for themselves. What are we doing? Adding money for renovation of State House at a time we are not doing well economically, and we have debt. If it was structural repairs, not completely redoing and continuing to redo, and if they were not stopped by the court, building tunnels under the guise of the church and bankers, like you want to live there forever. And, all the things that they're doing. Lavish, we are supporting lavish lifestyles and expanding government at a time we have no money. Look at the priorities, upside down. So the rain started beating Kenyans when we did not take our voting rights seriously and invested with clear warning signals in voting or voting substantially, because we must admit that William Ruto and his group did get a substantial vote, even though I maintain they were declared illegally as winners. But they had a substantial vote.
Okay.
So failing to differentiate which people to vote for and which people not to vote for. And I'm telling Kenyans that when you have a chance again, whether in a by-election or in a general election, think twice about whom you vote.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the presidency. It's right from your door. Your MCA, your governor, the 3 national MPs, that's women rep, senator, and constituency MP. And then finally the president.
Yeah.
Vote in people who will stick to the path and be true representatives of the people. All the elected leaders, or a majority of them, are now representatives of William Ruto. I even had one boasting in parliament that you wanted the tax bill passed, we passed it for you. You wanted this done, we did it for you. Are you there to do it for him or in the best interest of Kenyans?
Kenyans, yeah.
You know? So that is where it is us. We must ask ourselves, even as we blame them, how can we turn back this unfortunate tide? It's only by doing things intentionally.
Right.
Voting in people who you know, whom you have checked the background, and you know that they are pro-people and that they are value-based.
Right.
Yes, we must rethink the role of money.
Raila Odinga has collaborated with the president on the broad-based government issue, and it is said that at one point during Maandamano last year, when things became really hot, apparently the president called Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Were you called to join this?
No, and I don't think he would have the courage to call me. No, he wouldn't.
Yeah.
And Raila did indicate to us, they talked, and we, at least personally, I opposed it. We agreed on how it would look like if at all there were genuine talks. And that's why I was not a fan even of NADCO. I did not agree with it at all. They were duped. But apparently...
Who was duped?
My Azimio brothers were duped to go into NADCO.
Okay.
Me, I knew that Ruto was not genuine. And it was quite apparent because at talks that could have taken 90 days took 1 year. To date, implementation has been slow. So he sort of, it was a pacifier in the mouth of a crying child. Okay? You keep quiet, no milk is coming through the pacifier.
Yeah.
You know, it's just meant to occupy you for a moment. Even what is happening, even this illegal committee to compensate. It's a pacifier. If it was genuine compensation, that is within the mandate of the Constitutional Commission called the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. That's something they would do. The police would be busy, or IPOA, identifying the police who acted criminally and shot to kill. We would be having people prosecuted. There cannot be peace without justice. Compensating and continuing to kill is not a sensible policy. So start with seeking justice parallel to the compensation. And don't start your own creations. Follow the institutions. We have enough institutions. One of them, a constitutional commission. Why do you want to duplicate mandate? Because you want to occupy people. This regime lights fires every day. If we are not talking about the occupation forces in Mandera, we will be talking about goons in Nairobi. Tomorrow there will be this scandal, that scandal. We are being kept running around. We must concentrate. The answer to these things is one: get rid of this rogue regime. And let there be a transformational government that is people-centered.
The president has a lot of advisors. These people, I don't know, in your opinion again, Don't they advise the president? Because every time the president, not all the time, but many of the times the president is coming up with a committee or a commission or something ad hoc, it is always stopped by the courts. Yet he has a lot of lawyers in his cabinet. He has a lot of lawyers advising him. What's the problem with that?
He has the office of the AG.
He has the AG.
The AG appears to be largely ceremonial, even from the statements that she's making. That office, we last heard a voice when Justin Muturi was occupying it. I think my dear sister is just happy to occupy the office. I even saw her curtsying to the king, in quotes, if you like. That's not a very good show. And you talked of advisors. Ruto is his own advisor. He's also the he's also the head of every ministry. Everybody else is ceremonial. It's not just the AG. He advises himself. Those are just jobs he has given to cronies. Okay?
Yes.
So what is happening is that we have a government that is set up contrary to the constitution. And that's why everything is so wrong. And that's why I say the answer is one. That Kenya has one enemy, the Ruto regime, Ruto and his entire complement. And once we get rid of that and make sure that the transformational government coming in has a people's agenda which the people have approved and which the people will hold them to account on. From now on, Kenyans must be vigilant and very active so that no government governs without people's participation. You know, we've been used to keeping quiet. I actually wonder whether we had taken leave of our senses. Wafula Chebukati, the late, said that only the commission could announce results. When they were announced at the polling stations, instead of even the media tallying and announcing, like, say, in County X, this is the presidential vote, like school children, nursery school children, because school children of upper classes may talk. Like nursery school kids, we kept quiet the way Daddy Chebukati had said. And even when we were saying as Azimio we had won, the media houses didn't want to talk. It's only the other day the court said that actually we had the majority. It is not possible that you can have 27 counties called out for you as against 20, and the one with 20 has more votes. It's not possible, especially when you look at the blocks. Because if you're balancing the bigger constituencies, Meru and Kiambu were called out for Ruto, and they're big. But Nairobi, Kakamega, Mombasa were called out for us. And although we didn't have 27 governors, we had 24. Taita Taveta, which had an independent, was called for us. Nairobi, which has an UDA governor, was called for us. Narok was called for us, although they took away the governor's seat. So 24 plus 3 is 27. For him, he had only 18 counties. But Meru, which had an independent, was called for him. That's 19. Not Kirinyaga. Which other one was called out for him?
Kiambu.
She has already mentioned Kiambu.
I've mentioned Kiambu. And the governor was also UDA. But they had 20 counties because Azimio had 27. I've said how. And they had 20.
Okay.
So it is not possible, even if you do that math. But so the coming election, how we must help ourselves. We must all tally and announce the results the way we did in 2002. So because the tallying ends, the counting ends at the polling station.
Yes.
The tallying ends at the constituency, not even at the county. So we must call out the 290 constituencies independently. That's how you watch the polls. And we must call every constituency as it comes. We must be ahead of the official tally. That's what we did in 2002. In fact, I remember telling Kevuito at City Hall that if he doesn't issue that certificate, within an hour we will make him irrelevant because we'll announce for ourselves. And then he took the certificate because already we knew we had won. I was observing Senegal January of 2023 or 24. It's 2020. January 2023, I believe, or 2024, I went to the Senegal elections. And people had called out the vote by 10 that evening.
10 p.m.
And there was a carnival. Some sources from government tried to say that it looks like a runoff, but people were out, the whole of Senegal, celebrating.
Yeah.
So the government candidate towards 11 calls Jumaye Faye and congratulates him, even before it is formally announced. The same way Uhuru congratulated Kibaki in 2002. So there is power in people keeping watch and verbalizing the votes, because it's not you who counted, it's IBC through the presiding officer. So one of the things to defeat a thieving regime, call out the votes. Firstly, at the polling station.
Yes.
Then at the constituency for the presidential and gubernatorial vote. And that way, we shall announce for ourselves. And do not fear being told that you cannot announce. The Constitution says open and accountable.
Yes.
So if it's open, it's transparent. So you can sing that vote. After all, they are required to actually paste it on the door of the polling station. So what is remaining that you have to be secret about it? And then they waste a whole week in Nairobi tallying what even a primary school kid can tally in an hour. That's where the manipulation occurs. Yeah.
Because we've been having issues for a while as far as elections are concerned, and especially whereby losing candidates always come out and say something was not right, something it wasn't tallied right, or SG form 16A and every...
Like I'll tell you, the Kirinyaga gubernatorial election in 2017.
Yes.
When they stopped showing the results on the screen, I was leading. And they never showed again. They just announced a winner. And that's the story of very many people. You see? And you see, once somebody is announced, you have to go to court. I go to court. The court loses my exhibits, electronic evidence, and then says evidence not sufficient. I go to the Court of Appeal. They confirm the court lost my exhibits. I go to the Supreme Court. The court says, we sympathize that an innocent litigant has been thrown out of the Court of Justice. So I go to East African
Court of Justice.
Not to get the seat, but for them to inquire whether Kenya violated the rule of law by not addressing issues of justice. And they found Kenya had not addressed issues of justice. Courts of law are not there for issuing sympathy. They must issue justice. None of the courts, not even the Maraga court, dealt administratively with how a court of law can lose crucial exhibits of a litigant. So the thing is, Kenya's only remedy is not to wait to go to court. Let us arrest the situation. Let us participate. The Constitution gives us the right to participate in the counting. When they finish at the polling station, let us announce that vote to the world.
Had the courts maybe recognized the fact that evidence had been lost in your case, what would have been the next step?
We had that evidence. They just rejected it because, you see, the electronic evidence was also attached to our pleadings. So that evidence ought to have been admitted. But they rejected it, claiming, one, they say it was not in their file, although it was in the Court of Appeal file, and therefore rejected it. So you reject evidence in order to give the verdict you want to give. But I still hold, even with the evidence we had, there was sufficient evidence. That's a story for another day. I'm just giving example that we should never wait for the verdict. We should be proactive, participate in the electoral process. And the process doesn't just begin with voting and counting. Right now, we have so many young people without ID cards. Some areas are getting ease in acquisition of ID cards, which are prerequisite before you get a voter's card. Other areas, there is no ease. We must take tally, call out the government, do whatever is necessary to make sure every Kenyan is registered. We must ensure that, unlike last time, the register is cleaned off dead voters and duplicate voters. You have seen people, IDs being displayed on social media, one person having 5 or 6. We must get to all those issues. We have enough time now. And that is some of the things we in the United Opposition Forum are going to look at.
Well, let me ask this question, Mheshimiwa. Everything that is done on behalf of the people, it is hoped that the people are willing participants and that they understand the issues that are being dealt with. If the enormity of what you say is understood, would Kenyans not function differently? I'll give an example of what I mean. The problems with our electoral system, my first encounter with it was when Jaramogi Oginga Odinga formed KPU and by-elections followed. Ballot boxes were being found in Njoro River. As far back as that. We hadn't gotten to this sort of sophistication that we have. If you look at our electoral, just the process by which we elect people, it's actually very sophisticated and very good. When people go to cast their votes, it's actually like a holiday. I always marvel at how pleasant it is.
It's like a carnival.
Yes, and the discussions with different views, you can even tell who is voting for who. Once we voted and we're waiting for the results, then the problems begin.
Now, the security forces become hostile?
Suddenly, that ease with which we actually cast our ballots disappears. Now, you say that there was an electronic failure with your results. I remember the 2007 elections had a similar problem.
There was no electronic voting.
No. The announcement that was there suddenly ceased at a certain point. There was a blackout. There was a period when, yes, there was. There was a period when there was no information about the votes. Now, those...
At KICC.
Yes. Those who supported Raila Odinga said, but Raila Odinga was ahead by 2 million votes.
No, 1 million.
I said, those who supported Raila Odinga said, okay? I'm going somewhere with this. There's what has been observed as the practice that we have witnessed in our electoral system. How do we ensure that everything that you're saying which is constitutional is actually adhered to and understood? The reason why it continues is because the voter supports the malpractice that we see. If they didn't support it, inactivity or the lack of opposition is akin to support, in my opinion. But if we sit and keep quiet, we might as well support it.
I think you have a great point there, that that polling clerk, that presiding officer, that returning officer is a Kenyan like you and me. If everybody did their duty, we would not even need agents. And what do I mean by doing their duty? Sticking to the law, to the terms of reference you were given. You are not there to manipulate. You are there to aid in the expression of people's will. Stick to your lane. And I keep saying, you might think that you're helping somebody who has greased your hand. But you are creating an untenable situation for yourself. When there is insecurity because elections are disputed, it may be your relative who becomes a casualty. It could even be you. So why do we do it? This is a conversation we need, and I think we need to understand from the person who is within the system of IEBC to the security officer to the voter. How do we stand up for our country? How do you do the right thing? So that the security officer understands. He is there to restrain me if I'm doing something wrong, not to kill me or annihilate me, and only use necessary force. And you could even in the first instance use persuasion. Tell the person, please, you can't go beyond this line. Engage them. But we come out with our anger on the people, we harm each other. In the process, we destroy our country. Look at where we are. We need to rebuild. We need to change, and change begins with us. So I do agree with you, CT. We need to engage ourselves on our conduct and how we aid our own oppression. Even how do we pick leaders? Last elections, you tell somebody this person is a thief. This person is named in every corruption scandal. They tell you, I know, but I've made up my mind to stop it. I am voting for that person. And I'm not meaning just one seat. Someone wrote the other day that in Parliament, over 70 members have cases touching on integrity. If you go to the certain counties, the MCA and governors too have cases. So it is something we did with reckless abandon. So can we say, how did we find ourselves here? Where did the rain start beating us? It doesn't mean that we have had angels in all parliaments. But I do remember that up to the 10th parliament is very few people you would get having cases in parliament.
Yeah.
And that's why I was even able to raise a question about William Ruto in 2010 after the constitution was passed, because he was facing criminal charges relating to money he was paid by the Kenya Pipeline Corporation, which incidentally he wants to sell, and under the guise that he was selling land to them that turned out to be Gong Forest. But he'd already pocketed over 200 million. So I raised a question that the constitution having passed,
yes,
he did not conform to Chapter 6 and needed to be stopped.
Yes.
And he was stepped down as Minister for Agriculture by Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
Right.
But later saved by Kibaki and returned. But you can see we were trying to enforce the constitution. So it is our duty as people to assess each candidate, to assess from the smallest seat, because there's no small seat when it comes to service. Imagine most of the critical services are at the county level. So we should worry. Even if you elect a good president, there will not be your governor or county government. Funds will be released to your county, and you should care how your county will behave.
Mheshimiwa, there's something I want to understand.
Yeah.
You are a member of parliament for Gishugu.
Yeah.
Okay. Who did you defeat when you were first elected?
Daddy Karevi, Geoffrey
Precisely.
Karevi.
And who was he? What had he been?
He was the former chief secretary. Almost a prime minister at that time, because he was very powerful, feared by even the ministers. Okay? He had ceased to be chief secretary, had been elected and become an assistant minister. So when multi-party came, he abandoned KANU, came like most people are doing, and came to Ford. We ended up in Ford Asili with him. And in September of the election year 92, they rigged the Ford Asili elections, party elections, and I realized this is a prelude to what will happen in the nominations. So I abandoned those elections and went to DP. So I met him as a DP candidate when he was a Ford Asili candidate. He was a man, revered man with a lot of influence, even in the security forces, a lot of money. I was just a young person without much money, and I was able to floor him. I had about 22, almost 23,000 votes to his 11,000.
Had a woman ever been elected in Kirinyaga before you?
No, not in fact, in that election,
yes,
the first two women in central Kenya were me and Mary Wanjiru of Kinakop. Yeah.
The prophet.
Yeah. And me, I came in against the tide of Ford Asili because Matiba was immensely popular. But when I left Ford Asili, went to DP, DP gained advantage. You know, I was a household name.
Yes.
Then known as Martha Njoka. I actually vied as Martha Njoka.
Yes.
Because the name had become an issue, because I had already been separated. I decided to show my constituents a bit of style. And I did a deed poll, changed my name, campaigned as Martha Njoka, was sworn in as Martha Karua.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked the question
interesting.
Because I'm fast forwarding your career.
Yeah.
How many times were you elected?
4, just 4.
Very few
consecutive.
People. Yes, consecutively. What is it, do you think, that made the people of Gishugu elect you time and again?
Let me first say I was not the only one. Raila, Nkilu, a few of us. But it's very few who get 4 times consecutively. Let me say that I served the people of Gishugu to the best of my ability.
And they understood it.
I would see them. I had a clinic once a month. Even when we had no constituency offices, I hired an office for DP where I used to see people, and it was the third Monday of every month, so a definite day. And I kept myself open. Remember those days there wasn't much going on.
Yes.
I served them in parliament to the best of my ability. I liaised with partners, did projects, was available to them. And the people don't demand much. I didn't have money to give them.
You are accessible.
I was accessible.
And they believed that you had their interest at heart.
At heart.
Right. Now, I'm going somewhere with this question.
Yeah.
Then we come to national politics now.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
You are a minister.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
At some point, you resign.
Yeah.
Why did you resign?
I resigned because the government that I served, the Kibaki government, had ceased to follow the things we had said we would follow. And one of my beef, remember I was Minister of Justice.
Yes.
One of my dockets was fight against corruption. I was aggrieved that when he formed the coalition government, he allowed people who would not pass the test. Then we didn't have Chapter 6, we had not passed the Constitution. But under the Public Officers Ethics Act, people who were unsuitable. And I raised this issue. He was advised by others, and remember I was his Minister for Justice, that because it's a coalition government, he can ignore. But very quickly, on forming government, corruption started being accommodated. And I want to be clear that corruption had entered government towards the end of the first term. And remember, after the referendum, there was the Anglo leasing matter.
Yes, there was.
And I, as deputy leader of government business, had accepted the Uhuru Kenyatta report, then as opposition leader, on Anglo leasing. I had convinced Kibaki that we must accept the report because it's recommending investigations, and we too are investigating. You know, there is this thing of rejecting everything, opposition. So he had asked me, is it going to affect his vice president? Because Mundi has been chastised in the report. I told him, I don't think it will. I will be able to argue and show that he is condemned unfairly because the body of the report does not show any culpability. I also visited Uhuru in his office as leader of opposition. And I told him, what you've done in your report against Moody is wrong. And I told him, one day you could be president. Would you like to be accused wrongly?
In this manner, yes.
Yeah. And I regret those words because I blessed him and I was interested in the same seat. When you tell someone you could be president. So it's like forecasting, isn't it? So he actually was very reasonable. They were with Bill Okello, who was a member of the committee and one of his key people. And he told me he agrees. And he asked me whether I would like us to amend the report. The nation was very tense. Parliament was tense. Even our own members were ready to throw us under the bus. So I told him I don't want the report amended because people will not understand. But when you are moving, mention that discrepancy. And when I'm going to accept the report, I will also mention that so that no sanction follows the vice president. But I did not defend any minister. I said every minister has a mouth. The questions raised in the report, I too have them. Jivijali. For which I lost friends because they thought I should. But my role was not to defend.
So that's the point I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Do you really think that our voting public accept and are in a position to accept somebody who actually takes a stand? Because if I look at the politicians we have, they are fluid.
I think people have suffered to an extent.
Have they suffered enough, really?
I think, how much more would you want people to suffer?
I don't know, because the demonstration that they have had enough should reflect in the way they accept
the vote.
Yes, and the message that they are given. If people have suffered enough, they will understand you should not accept people who go around giving you money.
Oh, yeah. But
they still receive money.
No, I want to tell you something. The widespread poverty around is something new. The poverty has gone so deep that there are people who have no idea where the next meal is coming from.
And there are many.
Whole families of jobless people. Now, to tell a very hungry person not to take a meal in front of them would be a miracle.
No,
so you tell them.
It's not the taking, Mheshimiwa, alone.
Yeah.
It is the taking.
Yeah.
And being influenced.
You see, the thing is, there's this lopsided honor that our people have.
An emotional last-minute decision.
Yeah, they feel, if I've taken this person's money, at least I should do something for him. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is...
Oh, yeah, I get you.
Yes. There are there are not many people in this country who get elected and they are known not to give money. They are known.
Yeah.
You were not known to give money. What you are known for is taking a stand. It's unfortunate when people take a stand in this country, that's my point, they become unpopular, not popular.
Yeah, but for 4 terms, I was elected consecutively. And I believe if I had gone for MP, I would still have been elected, or governor at that time.
Yes.
I went for president.
Yes.
And because I had left government, they used government to decampaign me for more than 2 years. When I left government, look at a poll that had been done, I believe by Ipsos or by one of the pollsters. I left government in April. That poll was done that April or soon thereafter. I was the leading candidate, ahead of Raila with 2 points. I was at 19, he was at 17. Kibaki was at 6, Uhuru was at the bottom. So it's how also state resources are used and state machinery to decampaign people, and how gullible our people can be. There are people up to this day who question why I left Kibaki. They say that I'm emotional, I abandoned. They do not realize that I actually sacrificed. Being a minister meant higher perks, almost double the salary of the MP. I left power, privilege, and money. You see? Because I sacrificed to go back to the backbench to keep to my values. Because the government now was accommodating corruption. There were extrajudicial killings. And a justice minister has also the mandate on human rights. Administration of justice had been infiltrated, and it was under me. They were appointing people without proper criteria. So I said, no, thank you. It's not going to go under my name. I left. You see? Because I want to be able to stand and tell you I did your job.
Okay.
And I'm glad that by the time I left, we'd already done a framework to help finalize the constitutional review process. And when I descended to the backbenches, I was part of the committee on constitutional review.
Reforms.
And I was able to push. If you go to the Hansard, you will see I was leading the team defending the 2010 constitution from 500 proposed amendments. It has 286 articles. There were proposed, it said 286, 250 something anyway, but they had proposed double the number of amendments. We led a crusade, and that time Bandi was a first-time member and a very great ally. We'd leave him inside, we would walk out so that he gives us information. And we frustrated those amendments until they were abandoned.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, if come 2027, Kenyans do actually elect you as their president, what are some of the first, like five gains that you'd ensure that they get in the first 6 months?
The first day is remind and restate that we are under rule of law. We must adhere to constitutionalism and the rule of law. The rule of law anyway includes constitutionalism, and that the rule of law will be enforced across the board. It doesn't matter who. That immediately helps everything, including governance, because people know they are accountable. And once you pull the resources, both human and other, and utilize them optimally for the interests of the people, you'll be able to reset health services in the first 100 days. Reset education. Not everything will be smooth, but you will have started the journey. In fact, all the pillars, there'll be a beginning of the journey towards food sufficiency by investing in agriculture, because by then you will be redirecting the resources, and you don't need to wait for the budget to be passed. There is already the budget that was passed last. You start with that. I used to say it when I was a running mate, that the things we have promised in Azimio, we are not going to start looking for money. The starting point is what you already have, and then you mobilize. I did that when I was Minister for Water, a very small budget. And I said I'm not going to ask for addition first. First is to use optimally what you have, to seal the leakages, to change the culture. Then by the next budget, when you're asking for more money, you have a system that is up and running. So get a functional state. Get a corporation that runs. Where you need to make changes, make immediately. But make yourself very clear, because leadership does matter. Remember, Kibaki came in, the constitution had not been changed. No law was changed, but he was able to proclaim a day before he was sworn in that primary school education will be free. The next Monday, children were going to school. We didn't first ask where is the money coming from. We were doing the math while they are already in school, you know, and there were in numbers that they needed facilities. Okay? The hospitals started treating people. We didn't wait for the next budget. And before we knew it, people could see there is a change in trajectory, and they were queuing at KRA to pay taxes. We saw change even in the people, because people must be partners in change. People recovered KICC from Kanu. An orderly big group, you could call it an orderly mob because there were really many. They entered KICC, flushed Kanu out. Not a single window pane broken. They just did it in an orderly manner and gave the keys of KICC to Tuju, who was then Minister of Communication. So you could see people stopping policemen from taking bribes. Kenyans are ready to become partners. People need leadership. I would offer leadership. And in the past 100 days, you would see the direction towards the promises.
One of the biggest problems in this country is corruption. How would you tackle it? Because corruption is really
I tackled
entrenched.
Corruption in water. Within a very short time, we had turned things round. The cost of drilling a borehole when I became Minister of Water was 6 million shillings. That's in 2003.
Okay.
Within a year of being there, the cost had reduced by 3/4. It was now 1.5. And it's just sitting with the officers, checking, following, just doing the work you're paid to do. And telling them, I can see this is where things are lost. Because when you inquire further, you find that most of the money is spent by your officers who will go, camp halfway to where they are going to drill, spend 3 weeks, then send somebody to come back to the headquarters for something they forgot. So when you check the costs, you see that most of the money has been spent extraneously. That way, you give very little money to the actual service, and that's a classic example because there are many other examples. Monitoring and evaluation sometimes takes more than the job.
You know, so, there are things that you never get to hear, so I'm going to tell you one of them. I come from a part of the country that is known for its flooding. Nyando. Now, when you are minister for water, there are several things that you did. There were water pans that had been in very many of the villages. They were reclaimed. Nyando River was dredged. Strangely enough, the flooding seemed to cease. To
stop flooding. And even Budalangi, the time I was minister, we had managed to tame the floods. And I'll tell you what we did. Making sure that the money allocated, and it was very little. The budget of water, before I left the ministry, had not even gone to 5 billion. It came to 42 billion shortly thereafter because I raised the profile of water and showed effectiveness in applying the little resources that were there. What used to happen is that the money allocated, they would give very many little contracts and nobody would do anything but money will be dispensed. What we did for Budalangi, I got the National Youth Service under their director then, Mr. Japheth Mwania, a very effective officer. And I was being told by people in my ministry, you have to advertise. I said, when you are contracting a government department, you don't advertise. We will enter into an MOU and we transfer the budget to them. That's what we did. The National Youth Service under Mwania did the dikes at Budalangi, and they were done so effectively for a while. There was no flooding. But when I left water and things changed, flooding returned. We did the same for Nyando. I came to Nyando and I felt so bad. You see schools. I remember, I don't know whether it's Rai girls. You see every year they are ravaged by water. You look at the homes around. Those people cannot even keep a sofa set because it will still be flooded.
Yes.
Every year their things are destroyed. And they have to go back to zero.
Yes.
It's a very, very sad situation. So I was saying that there is a way we can find. You make sure that the river can accommodate the water. You also do dams, because the same areas have drought. In the same year they've had a flood. So we must have dams which will store the excess water. We were supposed to do a dam to also tame the Zoya River on the other side. There's a master plan. Those things have not been done to date. So the flooding remains. It is whether you are acting in the best interest of the people or you are looking for opportunity to line your pockets. And that's not just the minister. It will be the people. The minister may not even get the money or be interested. But if you do not focus on your job to give the leadership, things will continue the way they have continued. In fact, my office has told me that they haven't seen a minister who gets interested in what is done, and they were suggesting I'm wrong. And I told them that before they spell the word failure, they'll be home. If anybody doesn't go according to policy. We also had pressure to give water, Nairobi water services, to the French to run. And I clearly told, yes, there was a Nairobi Water Option Studies report by the World Bank, which was suggesting that because of corruption, we should give an international company, and they had pointed at a Vivendi company.
Were they funding that particular process?
No. You know, okay, they'll fund, it will be funded, but not by the French, but they were pointing at the French.
Yes, but the World Bank were willing to fund that process.
They were willing. Yes. I will tell you that when I refused, they actually walked away for 3 months. But when they realized the reforms were getting underway without them, they came back running. And I remember being told by mandarins at Treasury that I have done something terrible because we will not get funding. Then I told them the act says it is the minister, and I am she, and I'll take responsibility because it's our reforms. So we went on. The Swedish supported me fully. They were the only partner on the whatever those 3 months. They had given me one of their experts to help me roll out the reforms. And then I identified willing officers within the ministry with whom to align. And my deputy minister or assistant minister then, Munez, we were working very closely together. And my PS was Professor Kroda. I must say they all helped me. And within a short time, the reforms were underway. Within 3 months, the World Bank came knocking. They came back because they didn't want it to succeed without them.
They're a practical lot. They know when they're being let out with a good thing.
But
there's a reason why they were created.
So what I'm saying, when you're given a responsibility, either as a minister or a senior officer or a PS, remember you work for the people of Kenya. Because all that I heard is that the donor said. And by the way, the person is not a donor, is a lender. It's like your bank. Why would they be superior to you? I was telling the World Bank people, these are my reforms, not your reforms. So you examine whether my proposal makes sense and will do the things done. But you cannot dictate to me how to do the water. I told them I had researched, and even in France and elsewhere, over 80% of the world's water was in public hands, either in local authorities or whatever. But there was this thing in developing nations where they wanted the surveys to go to foreigners. It's already been done in Senegal, in Romania, in Tanzania, and Uganda was just entering into it. Those are the countries I was able to Google.
Yeah.
And there were already water riots in Romania and in Senegal. And I was telling Magda Diop, a Senegalese who then was heading the World Bank here.
There was here in Nairobi.
Yeah, there are riots in your country. Why do you want me to take that? We're not going to give water. Water is a critical service. You don't give people to run for you.
It's actually a security
and that's
resource.
why it's a security issue. And that's why I'm wondering how William Ruto and his regime think that you can sell the Kenya pipeline. We can't do without fuel. It's a security issue. It's one of the most productive state parastatals.
And profitable.
Profitable. I said, actually.
You said productive,
and
profitable.
Thank you for adding that. I meant actually profitable.
Yeah.
How do you sell it? And who is this investor? Is it you in disguise and your people? Who is it? Your car boss?
But even the selling, when you speak of it, why sell it?
And it means someone can stop operations in Kenya at will. Imagine when there's an outbreak of cholera and you have a foreign company running water in Nairobi, you go to beg them to take certain measures. The time between sitting with them to allow you certain things, people will have died. You can't give water. Critical services is like leasing security to a foreigner. You can't. There are things you got to do by yourself. If you need expertise, you can bring a person or two, but you must do it yourself. And in case of water, the World Bank report was clearly saying that Kenya has the requisite technical expertise. Then the conclusion was completely out of this world and not supported by the body of the report, that because of corruption, bring foreigners. So I was telling the then French ambassador, when he came to ask me whether there are chances for French business people doing water in Nairobi, I told him, as long as I'm not doing water in Paris, no French person will do water in Nairobi.
Mheshimiwa, there's a question here on our X account. There's Chenge Watenge asking, Mheshimiwa, do we have any need of amending the constitution at the moment? Which section do you think, especially under devolution?
Absolutely not. What we need to amend is our mindset. We need to change our mindset, and we need to adhere to the constitution. You cannot let a regime that has no respect for the constitution and the rule of law to tell you there is need to amend. They're going to cannibalize and dismember that constitution. Let's keep it as it is. The problems we are experiencing are not a failure of the constitution. It's a failure of our fidelity to our own country and to the law. From the civil servant to the politician, we are serving our interests or extraneous interests, not the interests of the people. Let those in the judiciary, and there are some who are doing very well, but for those who make decisions not based on the best interests of the people, remember that all of you, from the highest to the lowest, you are there courtesy of the people of Kenya. Remember who your employer is, act in the best interests. That is my advice for now, not constitutional or legal reforms.
There's another one. Someone is saying that in 2005 you were quoted as calling Somalis in Garissa refugees. Have you since mended relations with the people of Garissa, or were you misquoted?
May I first tell you that my relationship with Northeastern have been very strong, and the highest number of MCAs we have is Wajir. And when Mount Kenya is not giving me MCAs, I still get them in northern Kenya. And there's a clip by The Nation. It is clear that I'm responding to somebody who said that some of the participants in the meetings are refugees. There's nowhere you get me calling people refugees. I'm saying, even if, as you say, they're refugees, the fact that is that we didn't convince them to listen to us. You see, because it doesn't matter where people come from, the ones you're addressing. if they say, and people didn't want that draft, so the people did not listen to us. So whoever they were, the fact of the matter is that they rejected our proposal. That's what I was responding to.
Yeah.
So misinformation, especially when there are clips, cannot work.
Yeah.
That clip is very clear that I'm responding.
The problem with clips is that they're not contextualized.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you can hear even if. Once you hear even if they are, then you know I'm responding.
You know, there's always a disconnect between what someone says and what the other person hears.
Yeah.
Selective hearing is something that we do very well.
Yeah.
And when it is then amplified on social media, again, it is clear what someone is saying, but you'll pick what it is that you feel was being
and
said.
I want also to say one other thing.
Yes.
That I am the one in Naivasha who introduced the Equalization Fund to assist marginalized areas like Northeastern, accelerate development. Those I have been in parliament with from those areas, and those who have heard me know that I have been an advocate for affirmative action in development to enable Kenya to be one in terms of access to services. I have been an advocate of social justice throughout. I never cast people as others. We are one Kenya, one nation, one people. And that used to be the tagline of the party we have rebranded to be the People's Liberation Party, whose tagline now is Unite, Liberate. We believe in the unity of all Kenyans. We are all equal, we are one.
Another question here also coming from social media. You were in Tanzania recently. Was it really necessary to interfere with the internal affairs of a foreign country?
May I enlighten the questioner that first, I'm a Kenyan. Secondly, I'm an East African. So I was within my jumuiya going to observe a case. Because what happens within one country in the jumuiya affects us. If I remind the questioner, Dr. Besigye was arrested in Kenya. There was our young man arrested in Tanzania. I'm forgetting the name. Recently.
Yes.
Not arrested, abducted.
Okay.
Boni and Agatha Tuhaire of Uganda were abducted, were arrested and tortured in Tanzania.
Yes.
So I should care about the jumuiya. Kenyan business people are in all these states. They are also mistreated at times. So we must, the East African song says, tuilinde jumuiya yetu na tuajibike. Nilikuwa naajibika kwa jumuiya kuona ya kwamba sheria za Tanzania na za jumuiya zafuatwa kwa kesi ya Tundu Lissu. Inanuhusu kama mkaazi wa jumuiya. So be informed accordingly.
Yeah. There's this voting block that people are fighting for. I don't know if you're one of the people fighting for this block, the youth block.
Yeah.
I think they're being called Gen Z, but I believe it's Gen Zot at this point.
Yeah.
So the youth, to be specific, what do you think is one of the things that you will do to capture, number one, their attention, and once in power, what are you going to do for them?
I think the youth protests, the demands were transparency and accountability. Okay? And if those were put together, then we would not have punitive taxation. Now, I too diagnose the problem of Kenya as failure to adhere to the rule of law. As a result of, we have corruption that is holding the nation hostage. I have been a stickler for the rule of law. Even this conversation can reveal that to you.
Yes.
I have, since my youth, been calling for adherence to the rule of law and fighting corruption. The problem of Kenya. So who is suited better than me to lead Kenya in this fight to restore rule of law and to fight corruption? And I believe those are the things that I will engage on. I've already talked of a just economy that will work for everyone, that will be able to create jobs
Yes.
and support the innovation of the youth. And even in the People's Liberation Party, we have youth incorporated in the leadership. And I believe when I form government, when Kenyans honor me with that and I form government, youths will be in that government. It must reflect the nation. Yes. And the nation is predominantly young. We have very able, capable youth who can help run the country. But it's not all about age, because equally we have disappointing youth, just like we have disappointing older people and very value-based people. So it's selecting qualified people from all cadres, and especially the youth being the majority. Yeah.
The United Opposition Forum, like you called it, what's the plan with that? Are we looking at a single candidate like we saw in 2002?
Yes. I want to say we now have a spokesperson, Dr. Mukisa Kitui, and he will now be the one leading, disseminating information. But as a principle, I can say this. We are committed to having one candidate for all the posts in 2027, and we want to demonstrate that in our approach to the coming by-elections.
When you say,
I do not want to go into how we will arrive at that.
Yes.
Let that now come from the spokesperson, but I can tell you we are committed, and you'll see us moving together. Yeah.
When you say for all the position or for all the posts, what do you mean? Like you said, one candidate for all the position. Do you mean like
there
from
are
the MCA?
There are 6 positions.
To the president, yes.
We will be realistic, because what costs at Azimio victory, and it was ours,
yes,
is fielding multiple candidates and then losing to UDA, because we were ahead of them in seats with about 10 to 12 seats. I kept on saying we were the majority party. You've now believed it because the court has said it, but it was a reality. And Ruto knew it. That's why he went on to woo UDM so that Wetangula could be voted in as speaker. But had we not fielded multiple candidates in areas we felt we were strong, we lost maybe anywhere between 20 and 30 seats. If we had been ahead of our competition with about over 40 seats, it would have been next to impossible to steal. You see? Because how would they have conducted parliament? Getting 40 people is very difficult. But getting 10, wooing a single party, is something they did quite quickly. So we must be very careful to ensure that we maximize on our base everywhere. How that will be done will be clarified as time goes on, but we are working on it very seriously.
There seems to be a question around whether the youth will take up ID cards and whether they will actually vote. CT keeps on reminding me that this is a lot that has not been tested. This is the youth now.
Yeah.
It's a lot that has not been tested. Are you of the same opinion? Do you feel like more needs to be done to ensure that these young folks actually do take up their IDs and actually do register to vote? I believe the IBC is going to open up registration soon. So is that a concern?
You've hit the nail on the head. It's a great concern. And it is said that of the 8 million or so who didn't vote, a majority may have been the youth. So now that the youth have this new consciousness, it is our duty, it is the duty of everyone, all generations, to engage each one of us that we have a civic duty to vote. When you don't vote, you lose your right to complain, because you are the cause of the bad leadership. Not voting is actually voting in bad leaders, because your vote could make the difference. So I'm telling all generations, and especially the Gen Z, kindly pick your card. And if you're having difficulties, those are some of the things as leaders in this country we are going to tackle. We're going to collect data so that our demands will be data driven. We want all Kenyans to have access, all citizens to have access to IDs and to be registered as voters. And I said the voters register must be cleaned, and we want people to know that voting, your rights do not end with voting. It is also your duty to guard the vote, to guard the process. So we must be in this together, talking to each other, enlightening each other, and getting ready.
Some of your colleagues in opposition had issues, with the selection process of IEBC up to the point where they were sworn in. Is that still a valid concern? Do you feel
it's basically a William Ruto commission, but I'm of the view that even if it was his family and he was the chair himself, if we follow all the steps we are talking about, we can safeguard the vote. We have a lot to do with it ourselves. And this is the conversation, and I'm announcing to William Ruto and his ilk that even if you take over the IBC personally, like you take over most services, we will still floor you. We are ready this time, and we have enough time to get ready. So Kenyans, it's our duty. Let us not sit back and then blame one individual. One individual like Chebukati was able to do what he did because we allowed it. Let's not allow it this time. William Ruto and his regime are able to do what they do because we allow it. What if we didn't even go to the streets to demonstrate because we have now known they are killer machine, they are bloodthirsty? What if one day we said we've stopped all services? What if everybody of goodwill joined? We have the power. We, the people, always listen to that clause. We, the people, we have the power to transform, even without a single law being amended. And we must transform for our own sake, for future generations.
Is ODM in government, or is it part of the united opposition?
It is not part of us, and it is very much in government, and Raila has said it with his mouth, and many of his members have said it. They deny that they have a post-election pact, but they also refer to a document, to 10 points. That's an agreement which they have failed to table to the Registrar of Political Parties. So actually, I would tell my brother Raila that please, don't continue with politics of dishonesty. Because being in government with one leg and occupying committees that belong to the opposition, the Public Accounts Committee, 3 of them, Public Investment Committee, 3 of them, both in the Assembly, National Assembly and in Senate, you are obstructing the work of holding government to account. Go to government honorably as the law requires. Raila and ODM were in the forefront of campaigning for this constitution. It is very sad that at this point they are partners in destroying the constitutional order. So they are in government, however much they deny it. He even sits in cabinet retreats. We have seen him.
Yes.
And they have started to hold joint PGs. What do you call that? My brother Raila, do the honorable thing. Just deposit that agreement with the registrar. I think somebody will have to go to court to force it because they're not willing.
Lastly, as we head towards 2027, this last 2 years, what are we likely to see on the political stage as far as, because Kenyans are saying wanaumia, it's like things are becoming difficult with every passing day. In your opinion, what do you think Kenyans will do towards 2027 in terms of even their support system and how they now receive politicians going forward?
For us as the united opposition, ours is to continue solidifying our unity, engaging the people, getting the widest reach of the people, and also welcoming more people to be united. If we are one solid block, we will be unassailable, whatever traps are there. But divided, we fall. And that's what I'm telling the people. Do not wait for perfect partners. A vote is a vote. Let's all be together. The only place we must be very careful, whom do we elect to the office for all the 6 offices? Are they people who can transform? You are the accountability partners as voters. Let's be in this together. Gather the vote together and be accountability partners in making sure that we have value-based leadership. And I leave it there.
Do you see a rainbow moment with what you're referring to as a united opposition?
Basically. And I see
that's
more
what you
people,
envision.
Yes, and I see more people coming into it. If you remember in 2002, when Raila Odinga led the walkout from Kanu, for which we thank him, because the Kanu people would not have known how to walk out. He led the walkout, and that bloc came and joined with the NAK. Mm-hmm. The public just exhaled because they saw now we will overrun the Kanu regime, because people believed Kanu was unassailable. So the more we gather together, the more we are ready to overrun, the more we give confidence to the masses. I keep saying to my colleagues and to myself, when we see people coming out for the opposition leaders in the numbers they do when the tours are done, remember, it's because unity has given them hope. Try to scatter, and the people will also scatter. It is the hope that is bringing people together, and they're saying, yes, this way we can do it. Yeah. So let's keep hope alive. Mm-hmm. Let's keep solidifying the unity, and let's leave the doors open.
I like that. Thank you so much, Martha Karua, for coming through. It's been an absolute pleasure. So much that we've discussed, and we shall invite you again, even towards as we gear up to the election. We want to understand also some of the things that are happening within the united opposition. Maswali ambayo tutakuuliza baadaye when the time is right. But for now, thank you so much. Na ukirudi kule PLP, tutumie hizi vitenge hata si tuanze kuzivaa.
Nitamtumia.
Stop calling this thing kitenge. It is not kitenge.
What do I call it?
Ask the wearer.
African print.
Thank you very much. Print. Yes.
Yeah.
But even African kitenge print, because it's an African name,
yes,
I have no problem.
Kitenge is very distinct.
Okay.
Yes.
Kitenge
it's like somebody saying batik.
Anavanga vitenge.
Okay, this is African print.
Yeah. But Mheshimiwa, do you know he actually wears vitenge?
Yeah.
Niko na picha zake hapa akivaa vitenge.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yes.
We must identify ourselves as Africans, so that as I walk,
yes,
someone says, ule ni Mwafrika.
All right.
And I'm proud of it. Thank you, and I'll remind Kenyans, unite, liberate. Ungana, komboa.